recording? All right. There we go. So my name is Phoenix Van Dyke, and I am the International Education, not director, but it's something that I do for Mirage Spa. And one of the most amazing things that we are offering starting in April is we're going to be introducing different professionals in the industry. And within that, we are going to be asking beauty questions. Now, these people may be authors of books that are related to the industry. They may be in research and development. Maybe they're a spa owner, but they are very influential in the industry. So I thought, how better than anyone but to introduce Cheryl Thibault as the very, very first to be interviewed in our Ask Beauty Questions segment. This will be happening monthly. So without further ado, I would really like to introduce to you Cheryl Thibault. If you want to turn on your camera, my lady.
I don't know if I want to turn it on. I kind of like seeing in the background.
Yay! I'm so glad you're here.
Hi. Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Oh, yeah, this is wonderful. And we are recording this. So for those that have not been able to join us, live, we will be able to post this on YouTube later for people to still get this kind of knowledge and this kind of education from you. So thank you for taking some time out of your evening to, tell all of us about everything that we want to know. So real quickly, before we get started asking Cheryl all these questions, I would love it, and I know Cheryl would love it, if everyone popped in the chat and let us know where you were from and how you know Cheryl, and maybe a question, something you would like to ask her related to the beauty industry, of course. So it's a couple things you can do. It's not really homework, just kind of some engagement. So I'll give you a chance to do that. And if you have any questions through the evening, please throw them up in the chat and we'll do what we can to answer them. Okay. So, all right, we're getting all kinds of answers already, Miss Cheryl. Isn't that great? So we have people from everywhere. This is great. So let's start with this. So your name is Cheryl Thibault. Okay. So what country or what province, where are you from?
You are so cute. Yeah, and the fact that you call me Miss Cheryl is quite interesting.
There has to be a story there.
That's an American thing. Y'all,
yeah.
Everybody, Miss whoever and ma'am. But anyway, that's a great segue into my website. So
yeah,
that in advance. Okay, so I was originally from Saskatchewan, Regina, Saskatchewan, born and raised in Regina, and I moved to British Columbia in 1989, and am absolutely loving life on the West Coast. The weather's far better than my friends who are on here who are in a snowstorm today. So sorry, you're not here.
Let's hope they don't lose internet connection because of the storm.
Yeah. I don't think so. Anyway, yeah, so that's where I am. I was from Saskatchewan and now I am in British Columbia.
Okay, great. Mm-hmm. So now tell us, within the beauty industry, what are the businesses that you own? Because I say plural, like more than one.
Okay, so currently, okay, no, we're going to go back. So I started developing my businesses actually in 1981 when I graduated, and I started, it's funny, my first job out of school was in a hair salon, and we did hair and aesthetics, and I was trained under a fabulous Brazilian woman who was so knowledgeable because she was European trained. And she had so much more experience than I got in school. And I was truly, truly blessed to be trained under her. And she ran a tight ship, let me tell you. There was no messing around. And from there, I went into what we call the semi-independent business, where I went into a shared salon under a woman who owned the salon, and she did what was called space age facials, and they were like little suction cups all over your skin, and they exercised your muscles. She was also from France. She was European from France. And that was really cool for me to learn that. And it was not just your face, actually. They worked on your whole body. So I really learned a lot about muscle and toning and everything then. And from there, I migrated, so to speak, into room rental. And I rented a room out of the back of a hair salon, which the front end was completely complete hairdressing. And then in the back end, we went down a hallway to my room, which was my private room. So people would actually check in at the front and wait, like a little lobby reception area. And then they would come down this hallway into my room. And that was my real first taste of being independent, because it was my room. I collected the money. I had to pay taxes and I had to pay rent and everything else that went along with that. I had to figure out my advertising and get my brochures made. And that was my first. Then I left there and went into a hotel thinking, I'm so great. I'm going to open in this hotel, right? I'm going to get all the customers from the hotel. We're in a little mall and we're going through all this. And all of a sudden I realized I need a sink. But my dad was a jack of all trades and could put a sink in, right? So I thought, I'm just going to get my dad to come put a sink in. That doesn't happen in commercial buildings. So we had to do permits, and it was a nightmare. And my little tiny budget got stretched very quickly.
Had to get the dollar stretcher out of the closet.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was insane. So I went from this little tiny room where I kept everything, and it was easy. It was cheap rent. It was everything, into the big leagues, and then I went into this salon and hoped I would get clients from the hotel. I hoped my clientele would follow me. It was a big leap of faith, truly was. And I ended up that year on the cover of a little booklet that the government put out called Starting a Business in Saskatchewan. And they put me on the cover. So I guess I didn't do too bad, because I was
not at all. Wow.
I was 20 years old. I didn't have a clue what I was doing, right? Wow. But and then from there, I moved into another location where I realized at that time that there was still no school in my province to teach aesthetics or anything other than hairdressing. There was hairdressing schools, but there was no specific aesthetic school. And I, as a single mom, didn't want people having to leave their kids like I did and go away for months at a time. And I stayed away because I knew if I came home, I probably would never leave my kids again and go back. It was probably easier for me to quit school and stay with my family than to say goodbye to them twice. So my heart could not take that. So I ended up.
So pause just a second. Okay. So when you went to school, you didn't go to school in the same town. You went to school like several hundred kilometers away. I mean, how was that far?
I find it cute that you say kilometers.
I'm trying to like channel my inner Canadian. Are you proud of me?
It's truly, I am. But it was actually, I'll speak your language. It was 400 miles.
Wow.
So it was a ways. It was in another province in Canada. It was another province. So it wasn't even in the province I lived in. There was no school in my province that offered this. So I decided that something had to be done.
Yeah.
So I took it upon myself to make that change and began developing the curriculum and putting the pieces in the puzzle together to go ahead and make that come to be. So as it would happen, we opened, and my children's names are Darcy Michael, and in French it's Michel. My daughter's Aline, which is a French name. My dad's French. And so I named my first business Michel Aline. And it was kind of a French sort of thing. And because my dad was so cool. Anyway, so that's how that happened. So that was my first school. And then from there, it just grew to tanning salons and other locations. And we ended up having a 3-year wait list in the school, which was incredible at the time, because we were only allowed to take so many people because of the floor space we had. We could only allow so many people in that amount of floor space. So that pushed me to open bigger locations all the time. And I did that. I ended up having a location in the south, the center, and the north end of the city. And the first tanning salon in the 80s. I had the first tanning salon in the city. I actually hired my mother, believe it or not. And she was my receptionist.
Oh,
and yeah, she was a bookkeeper, thank God, because I do not know anything about bookkeeping. So I hired my mom to be the receptionist, and that was kind of cool. And so we ran that. And it just kept going. And then in 1989, I closed those businesses and I moved to BC.
Okay.
And here we've done everything. We've had salons, we've had spas, we've had schools. I say we because my team is my we. So I always talk about we as a
we. Yes.
It's not just me, it's a we.
So if there's anything that I know about you, I mean, if you see a need for something, you find a way to fulfill that need, and the sky is the limit. There is no roof on the things that the things that you have achieved in your professional career and in your personal life, those kinds of things. So when we talked about opening a school, you had several different locations. Now you're in BC. And so your school is no longer brick and mortar. Now it's all virtual school, right? So that's a huge need.
Yeah, well, that came by accident. Literally, that came by accident. That's funny. I'm going to use that. Anyway, I was in an accident, and I was in a wheelchair for almost a year and several years in rehabilitation therapy, and could no longer do school stairs. My school at the time had stairs, and it was just, it just didn't work. So thinking ahead, I wasn't really sure. I thought, okay, well, we have to reach other people. How can we do this? And then the internet was just starting to become the internet. And I thought, okay, if I make videos, I can sell the DVDs to people who can learn from home through the DVDs, and then go take their exam or do whatever they need to do, apprentice or whatever, to do that. And that started the next venture. And I see my little friend Pam is on this line here. And I remember saying to Pam, what if I get one student a month? Like one a month, what can happen if we did that? And she's like, yeah, I have actually a few friends on here. Thank you for showing up.
Fantastic. No, that's
but they've all been so supportive. And in these last while, I've been taking classes, and people say, if people don't believe your dream and they think you can't do it, do it. But you know what? I cannot make that claim to fame, because every one of the people that have been my friends, oh, don't you cry, Cheryl. Okay, have been my friends and have supported me through this. You know what? They have never said you can't do it. You know what they've said? If anyone can do it, it's you.
You can do it.
And they have been my biggest support. And you know what, without them, I know I wouldn't be where I am. So we all need a good support team.
We do.
So anyway, thank you, my friends on here, for sticking by me. And don't you start crying, because I can see you making me start to cry.
Oh, no, I'm your friends aren't crying. I could block them all out for real.
No, I love them.
No.
Anyway, so yeah, so we went online, and then we ended up in 2012 having more students online than we did in my actual school. And it just became a no-brainer to close the brick and mortar and just go 100% online. So that's what we did. And from there, we reached out to many small communities that we never could have gotten to. People from small communities cannot get to schools. They have to leave their kids, like I did. And that's a sad state for some. Some were single moms that couldn't afford to go to school. Some had a full-time job and couldn't take the time off to attend a school. So we reached a niche that the big schools didn't.
Yes.
And although we started small, we started really small. We have one student. Carla was her name. She was my first student.
That started with one a month, right?
Well, no. We thought it would be one a month, but it went big quick. Yeah, it went big quick.
And who knew that 2020 was going to have, the world locked down, but your education, your students were still able to continue getting the knowledge that they needed to make a big career move. So,
true.
wow.
Yeah, that's true. You know what, Phoenix, the best part of that was because every school in the world went through the pandemic. Every school, not just Canada, not just the US, but the entire world closed down. I didn't. And I honestly think we were the only school that didn't close. And that made a big difference for us making a mark, because up until this point, you're in the industry. Online education's taboo. You have to touch that person. You have to get into that fingernail. You have to feel that face. You have to, online education wasn't accepted.
No.
And I really was nervous that I would be ostracized. And it was difficult for me to get a foothold in the industry until Doug Schoon actually came on board. And that was the turning point for me. And he met me at a trade show and asked what I was up to. And I showed him my courses and the school and what we were doing. And for those of you who do not know who Doug Schoon is, he's the leading chemist in our industry, and he's world famous. He's written books, he's got patents, he's an amazing man. And he endorsed my school. And I can say this wholeheartedly because I pretty much know that I'm the only school that he's ever endorsed. And he's a global scientist. He's not just someone you sneeze at. You know what I mean?
Oh no, he's very famous. Yeah, very, very well known.
Yeah, and I think that put us on a trajectory to be looked at differently. And the other thing I think that made the biggest difference was when I judged Nail Olympia in Orlando.
Yes.
And that was a big turning point for the school as well, because to get on that judging platform and see all these world-renowned champions, as you are one of them.
We're not here to talk about me. We're talking about you.
Yeah, you are. But to be, on the judging platform made a big difference in our credibility. And people finally took a sideways look and said, you know what, maybe there's something about this. So I think all those things lined up to make it what it is today. It just all came together. It's all about timing, right?
Yeah, very organic growth. It's nothing. I mean, of course, you are a business owner. You are up, sleepless nights doing things that you need to do at your desk. But but you have grown and grown and grown, and you have people that are students of your school from all over the world. So, I mean, this is not just Canada, not just the United States. I think what was one of the newest students from Finland?
Finland. Yeah, Finland.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And Barbados or the Bahamas. And, you know, we've, yeah, so it's spreading out. Mm-hmm.
Now, I have to say, like you said, being in the industry. So I've been in the industry 27 years, but you've been in the industry over 40 years. That's incredible. I know. Sorry, you don't know that. She started when she was 3, everybody. So you've seen a lot of changes, but you're right. It was almost like online education had this taboo. People didn't think that it was enough. It didn't give people enough experience. But I can say from like on this side of things, because I've taught in schools, I've taught people one-on-one, I've taught big groups of people. One of my largest classes had 100 students. I mean, I know how that is, but there are more sets of nails that are expected of your students than any I have ever seen anywhere. And the work that is coming out of Mirage Spa is incredible. Like, I am so proud of our students. Like, it makes me, like, I'm emotional. Like, these are all of our babies, and I'm so proud of them. So.
Oh. Yeah, a lot of that is your work as well. I only put the foundation in place. So I can't take credit for that. I can't take credit for that. But I do agree with you. We do have a great platform. We do have the internationally recognized textbook that we use. So when people come into the course, they learn from an international textbook, which will take them literally into any country the textbook is accepted, and know what's in there. So even if they graduate out of Canada, they can still take their credentials and pretty much work wherever they're accepted. So that is really big. So we're fortunate to have that behind us as well.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
So now, in addition to, like, you talked about your kids, they were a lot of your motivation, you know.
They were the motivation. You know, when you get these 2 little kids screaming, we're hungry, you know, you're gonna have to put some food in those bellies.
So your kids were your motivation for opening a school. So, but you also have opened a spa. So you currently have a spa. So what was your motivation for opening your spa?
This one?
Yeah.
Well, this one's a story. Actually, there was no motivation at all. This is a funny story. My daughter and I were trying to make appointments for pedicures, and we called the local spa, and they had closed, apparently. So I called one of my friends who has a business in that mall, and I asked him if he could just run around the corner and just see if that spa had just closed for the day or if they actually had shut down. So he phoned me back and said, no, they're shut down. So I said, okay, well, can I have the name of the landlord or the owner of the complex? And he said, I've already told him that you're going to be calling him. Apparently I have a reputation.
Your friends know you, I would think.
So my daughter and I went to look at the location, and within 20 minutes of going through it and seeing it, we had already made our offer. We had already put the wheels in motion and took it over. And so my daughter's husband tells the story that my mother-in-law and wife went for groceries and came home with a spa. So that's his story. So yeah.
Well, I mean, all of us would be lucky to have that kind of support. So that's great.
Yeah. And then at supper, she says, I guess I should tell him that we did this, right, Mom? I said, yeah, I think you should know.
You should probably tell him. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's how this one came about. The other ones weren't this simple, but you know what? After 40 years in the industry, you get to know what's involved in opening a business from start to finish. and it's not so difficult to just walk in and in 20 minutes throw it together. We were open within 2 weeks. And at that time, we went to have a grand opening, and we got good support from our local community. And I thought we would have maybe 20 to 30 people at our grand opening, which in 2 weeks of notice, I thought was great.
Yeah.
We had over 150. And our grand opening was to start at 11, and they were lined up from before 10:30 in the morning on, and we were supposed to end at 4, and we didn't leave till much after 6.
Oh.
And we booked appointments that day. It was October. We opened on Thanksgiving, Canadian Thanksgiving. And we opened in October, and we had appointments in the day book solidly booked until January of the next year.
That is amazing.
It was amazing. And we were off to a great start because February COVID hit.
Oh.
So that was a big,
yeah,
take you out at the knees.
Yeah, like a lot of the other small businesses got really sucker punched. So, I mean, it affected people very negatively, but at the same time, you held in there, you're still pulling through, and it now has given you a lot of empathy for others who have experienced the same thing. Like, you know how COVID has hit a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
It's been
Yeah.
difficult. Well, what I've appreciated about your spa is that you have your own product line. So can you tell us about that a little bit? Like skincare,
sure.
Stuff. What do you got?
Well, way back in the day when I lived in Regina, I actually started a little makeup line myself called Michelle Lynn. And my friend Pam, who is on the call with us, sold jewelry at the time. And she and I teamed up, and we would actually go and start doing home parties. And hers was Glitters, was the name of her company. And I did the makeup. So we would go in and we would do home parties with the makeup and the jewelry. And that went well. And of course, then I moved here. That line was not a high quality line, and I just let that one go. But then when I moved here and I opened the school here, we developed into a nail care line because most of my students, 70% of my students are nail techs.
Yes.
So, that's interesting. And so we developed a nail care line, which was affordable for the students because a lot of the lines, they have such big overhead. And we didn't have overhead because we ran everything out of our school. Mm-hmm. So it really helped with, keeping the cost down. And then after students would graduate, they would say, well, can I get your product? Yes.
Absolutely.
So we developed a distribution company without us even knowing. And now that we are a full, the school isn't just a nail school anymore. We teach aesthetics and spa therapy. So we've actually branched into a really beautiful, high quality makeup line. And it's now called Spa One. And if
anybody's wondering, my lips, Spa One.
Mine too. Anyway, we now have makeup. We have body care with LJ wraps and everything along that line. We have a beautiful skincare line based in seaweed and more because I love that. But going backwards a little bit, when I first moved here, I want to just put a little funny story in here. I began selling makeup for Amway.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, wow. That was quite funny. It was called Artistry. And you know what? The makeup was pretty good makeup line. And so I began selling that. And then I was in a trade show and met my friend Julie. And Julie sold clothing. She was a representative for a clothing line. So this is kind of like Pam and I doing the makeup and the jewelry. Julie had a clothing line. Well, because I had done this with Pam, it was a no-brainer to do it for clothing, right? So Jules and I started what we called Faces in Fashion. And we would go into a home party plan, same thing. And we would take the Amway product line at that time, which was the artistry line. And we would do the makeup, and she would do sort of dress for success clothing. So we would walk them through. The first part of the evening was based on basic everyday. So you wear your everyday going to work makeup, you put on these clothes to go to work. Then we went into evening, and she would introduce the evening line. And then I would show them how to spruce up their daytime into evening. So we started this little business called Faces in Fashion. And that was 30 years ago. We rocked that one. And it was so much fun. We had a blast. We ended up doing fashion shows. It went crazy. So I've had so much fun in this industry. And I think that's what I really want to say is, like you heard from the very beginning, I went from a job in a salon to renting a little room in the back to going into my first, little independent salon to tanning salons to we had actually had a gym. This is a fun one. I went and I rented the upper level of a massive gym when I lived in Regina, and all my rooms overlooked the main workout area. So all the women would come to get their nails done and watch all the guys down below working out. And that was fun. So we pretty much done the gamut on creative business, So
yeah, that was smart. That was smart marketing on your part. Absolutely.
You know what the smart part was, Phoenix? It wasn't even that. It was the fact that I had a daycare center in there.
That's even better. Yeah.
That was better because now the women could come and put their kids in the room beside where they were getting their services done, know they were looked after, and never had to pay for daycare. So these are the things when you're opening a business that you need to think of, right? Free parking, for sure. Yep. And, the facility is, are your children looked after? These were, you have to admit, my business was mostly catered to single moms. These were single moms who couldn't afford daycare. Nope. So that was a whole new clientele that I encouraged to come in because never before could they afford both. They couldn't afford parking and daycare and a service. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So when you take those two things away, instead of just getting their nails done now without paying daycare and parking, they can afford a brow wax or something else. So it just all made the business increase, right?
You've always, that entrepreneurial mind is very, very active in you. Definitely. Well, so then leading with that, thinking about how you did things for your demographic, the people that you really wanted to cater to. So is there any kind of advice that you would want to give to somebody who's thinking about becoming a beauty professional?
Advice in what capacity?
Oh my goodness, you can pick it. Is there, if somebody wants to become a beauty professional and they come up to you and they say, Cheryl, I've just kind of been rolling this around in my head and I've been thinking maybe I should go to nail school. What do you think? What would you say?
40. You know what? I have been in this industry more than half my life. And the people that I know in this industry, other than you, well, probably you too, because you're young and you've been in this industry for probably more than half your life.
I have more than half my life, yes.
And that's the thing is when you're in this industry, you're in love with the industry and you're in love with the people in the industry. Most of my friends I met across my manicure table. I never would know these people to this day, and they have been my best friends for my whole life. Mm-hmm. And I never would have met them. Don't get emotional, Cheryl.
I told you, take a sip. Every time you think about doing that, take a sip.
I'm regrouping, yeah. Anyway, it's a very emotional business. And it just, I would always recommend people, okay, so that's not always true. There's people who are more analytical and could never do this type of thing. You have to have patience. You have to have understanding. You have to have compassion. Well, you don't have to, it all helps. Compassion, understanding, caring, a nurturing personality. You have to love what you do. you become a counselor. You take home a lot of people's crap. You know, when they are having a bad day, they need you. When they're having a good day, they want you.
Yep.
And there's something about that just you can't explain. And it just, you can't explain it. And in my book, which we're going to talk about.
Yes, we're going to get to that in just a second.
In my book, we talk about that. And the contributors in the book are people that have been in the industry from 6 months to 40 years, or 50 years. So we have over 700 years of wisdom in that book from people who have been in many different facets of this industry. And I can't wait till it's released.
Oh, that is so exciting.
Yeah.
Well, so there was a couple questions that were asked here in our chat. And don't forget, if you guys have questions that you want us to answer, please throw them in there. But here is one. Okay, so can anyone purchase the Spa One skincare and makeup?
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah,
for sure.
Great?
Yes. Because it's retailable, we can. It is a professional line, so it is sold for professional, but there's also a retail division of it. Our nail care line, no. We, the cuticle oils and the cosmetic side of it, yes. But the Spa One professional nail care is only sold to nail technicians. The skincare and the makeup, because it is a retail line, it is retailable to the public for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, great.
And the makeup.
Yep.
Don't forget the makeup.
So if there was a link to purchase the retail skincare and makeup, I can put that in here.
Well, you know what? I think that the link to do that would have to be through Spa One. So it's spa-one.ca. And our retail is on that site because the other site is professional only.
There you go. It is in. Now, that is fantastic. Great questions. Thank you for the interaction, you guys. That is so great. So just a note about the nail products that are being used in the school. I know that they are used by students. And sometimes people think, oh, I'm in school, I'm using a student brand, right? Spa One is not a student brand. It is a professional line, and it is top of the line professional line. So a lot of times people think, no, it's I'll get something better when I graduate. Why, when you're being taught with the best? So
well, you know what, you're right. There is a lot of comparable professional lines out there, granted.
Yes.
Spa One was, as I say, designed for my students in the early 90s. We brought that in the early 90s here. And because we have no overhead, we don't have well, we do now, but we didn't have the warehouses and we didn't have all of the high overhead that it cost to develop and sell and promote and have salespeople on the road and everything for the product line. We were able to keep the prices down. And I think that gives the impression that if your prices are lower, you're not as good as the rest. But that is not a fact in our case. We have chemists formulating our products. We are state-of-the-art production with our development. And we are very comparable with the other brands out there, neck and neck with them. It's just that we don't have the overhead. And that's why you don't hear about the line much, because we don't promote at trade shows. We don't do any of that. So we've stayed kind of under the radar there.
But I appreciate, though, that the students are learning with something so high quality, because there is absolutely no point in teaching somebody on something low quality and saying, oh, you'll get a higher quality product and then you'll just get better. Well, you know what? Let's let them be great right out of the gate.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that so much about you and about your vision for the things that have happened with your school. That's fantastic.
Well, you know what, Phoenix, I'm going to turn that around, because you have been on R&D for other professional companies. You have been formulating brands in the background. You have been working with other very reputable companies that the world knows the names of. And for you to say that about this product line really warms my heart, because you do know your product. So thank you for that.
Oh, my pleasure. And I wouldn't be smoking. I was just saying, like, for real, I wouldn't tell any stories. Like, I really, really believe it. Stand behind it 100%. So I do appreciate that.
Thanks.
So we have about 15 minutes left in our interview. So I think there's some really exciting things that are getting ready to happen in the future. So we've talked about the past, we've talked about things currently. So what's getting ready to happen? You have some great stuff you want to share with us.
Where are you leading me to first?
Okay. So you have some things coming up, right? So you have a book, at least one book that's getting ready to be released. You have a fantastic website. We have a membership program that's getting ready to come up. So take your pick.
Let's talk about the membership.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's talk about the membership. Okay. So, am I taking this?
Yeah, go for it.
Tell I'm taking this. Okay. Yeah. So, with our new online platform, not new, but advanced online platform, we are really focusing on bringing the best education possible from every person possible to as many people as we can possible. And sorry, what we're doing is we're launching a membership platform. So we're unveiling it in 3 phases. The first phase will be a private Facebook page. Phoenix herself will be monitoring that page. So you are going to be getting the best of the best in direct connection with one of the best. Phoenix is a global award-winning nail champion, just so you know. She doesn't just sit there and look beautiful. She has earned her stripes in the world of beauty. And to have her hold the space for that page alone is amazing. And part of that page is we are also doing, is that where the Ask Beauty Questions is coming into? Yep. So once a month, you'll have access to an industry leader. I think you mentioned that in the beginning, but there'll be industry leaders like the founders, the absolute founders of these product lines. Like Phoenix will be interviewing people like Linda.
Yeah,
Linda Nordstrom. Yeah. They now own Famous Names, but they owned Creative Nail Design. And Linda's father-in-law was absolutely one of the first people to bring artificial nails to the world. Yeah. Like these are huge, huge people. Tony Cuccio, who has a massive, he's in 90 countries. And, you know, he's willing to sit on our platform and talk about the industry and how it's changed. And people like Maisie Dunbar.
Yes, Maisie Dunbar, of course.
She's a global beauty maven. I mean, unless you are in, I don't even know how you get to know these people, in all honesty.
You have a membership and you join us for asking questions.
Because they're some of the biggest in the whole world. And nail technicians, estheticians that own unbelievable companies, teaching you on business, teaching you on, you know, pretty much everything in the industry. And you'll have access to that in our tier 1. Tier 2, we added the which we add on tier 2, Phoenix.
That's the weekly education, in addition to the Facebook, right. In addition to the Ask Beauty Questions monthly.
Right. So in addition, you're right. So in addition to that, we have the Phoenix will be hosting an online Zoom program where every week she's going to be demonstrating a different method, whether it's aesthetics or nails, or you just have questions and you just want to have a chit chat, whatever it is, every week will be different. And that will be, all those will be recorded and held in our vault. So right now it's free up until April, but after April, the membership fees will kick in and you will have access to the vault forever. And that's like a load of information,
So
access
much
to the best in
education.
the world.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the tier 3, we're adding a mastermind class, which incorporates 2 days of intensive training, like intensive. So you will have 2 days of, well, we don't even know what you're going to be teaching yet. You might be teaching some. We're going to bring in industry leaders to teach other things. So it will be an intensive class that they usually sell for $1,000 to $2,000 a day, these classes. So they'll be included in your membership. So it's really worth it. So yeah, so that's exciting.
And we'll be releasing all of that information, of course, on our website. As we get closer, we'll unveil the prices. Very, very affordable education, because we don't think education needs to be something that's closed-fisted, for sure. So that's fantastic, that we'll be releasing that information. But okay, so there's our membership. What else? You have so much in your back pocket. This is great.
Okay, well, do you want me to share my screen?
Yeah, go ahead and share your screen and show everybody what you have coming on, because this is great.
Okay.
I think this is so good, because a lot of people, like a lot of your students, even Cheryl, don't know everything there is to know about you. Look at how complex you are and all of the facets there are to you in the industry. You yourself are an amazing person to learn from. So
oh, thank you for that. I don't know if you can see this. Can you see this?
not yet.
No. All right. I have too many screens going here too. So I shared screen and I'm sharing.
Let me remove your pen. That might make a difference.
Is it working?
I don't see anything yet.
You know me and technology.
I know, right?
That's why I have Allison. I don't know.
Brenna asked a fabulous question. She asked if the membership is monthly or is it yearly? So
yeah, it is monthly, and that is a great question. And if it is paid yearly, there will be a discount. For sure. Yeah. Phoenix, I honestly don't know how to do anything different for sharing my screen here.
Down at the bottom of your screen, it should say share screen. Should you be able to click on that?
Okay.
There you go. Perfect. Okay. Yep.
So this is the cover of the book that's coming out. So that's my next book, and I'm aiming to launch it in April. And yeah, career in the beauty industry, discover if it's for you. And we're hosting, like I said, 700 years of knowledge in this book. And it's everything that you would want to know about the beauty industry, and making choices as to what avenue you should go down. Should I choose makeup? Should I choose this? Should I choose that? So that one is coming out in April.
Okay. That is great. April is a big month, isn't it?
Well, I'm aiming for April. April. Yeah. This one is launching in March.
There we go.
So this one is what it says. And I'm only a co-author in this one. So it's fabulous women telling their stories about how they took the extra step, literally, and went out to, make a difference in the world.
And put the stiletto in the mediocrity. I love it.
Yeah, it's great. And then this one is the one that is out currently.
Yes. Now this one I've seen, it is available on Amazon. So you guys can put this on Amazon.
And then I want to share, this one is the most exciting. This is my website where you can purchase the books. This one is our free book right now. It's our free ebook that we just launched, and it's From Setback to Success: Is a Career in the Beauty Industry Your Answer? So this one will guide you, and it's related to kind of surviving through COVID and finding out how the beauty industry is resilient to anything that can come your way, pretty much, you know. So that's a great one. And then we are having the podcast, The Walk of Life. So this is going to be fabulous for all of the world, actually, who has a story to share about their walk of life and their story. So we're actually, if you want to become a guest, just click on that and it will take you into sharing your walk of life. And you just fill in this little application form here and tell us a little bit about you. And we're starting to book that up now. That will be launching, maybe April to March or April. So
that's amazing.
So that's that. Yeah.
I was listening with somebody just the other day. We were talking about going to the gym and exercising. And I said that I don't listen to music. I listen to podcasts. I feel like it's good for my brain. So I'm so excited that there will be a podcast like this one that it talks about people's stories. Life stories are interesting. No, I love that. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, Cheryl, it has been such a privilege. It's been an honor to be able to interview you on our Ask Beauty questions. Do you have any words of wisdom for anybody? Yeah, words of wisdom. Anything you'd like to share?
Words of wisdom. Other than what I've shared, just keep going. Yeah. Don't quit. Just don't quit. We all could quit many times. Just don't.
Don't do it. Really, the sky is the limit. And you have been one to definitely prove that over and over again. And
well, Phoenix, I have to tell you, it hasn't come easy. There's been many mistakes along the way. Okay. In saying that, I do have some words of wisdom. It's hire the right people for the right job at the right time. That is critical to any business, whether it's a lawyer, a bookkeeper, you know, a director of a department, anyone that can help you succeed. We all in this industry, we think it's okay. And I'm speaking from myself. We think it's okay to self-sacrifice for the benefit of our customers. There's been times when my customers have sat, I guess we call them guests now, have sat across my nail table and fed me while I did their nails because they knew I wouldn't take a lunch break. That's not cool. I used to think it was until I realized that 15-hour days take a toll on your body, on your life, and on your family. And although you think you're doing what you need to do, you're not. And in the long run, it gets you. It gets you to a place where you have to really look at what you're doing and wonder why. So, you know, hire that extra staff member so you don't work 15 hours, work your regular 8. Hire a great bookkeeper so you don't get the Revenue Canada showing up on your doorstep. Right. You know, that is probably the best business advice that I could give, is to just don't try to do everything yourself and bring in the right people at the right time for the right job.
Very, very well put from somebody who would know.
Learn from experience.
From experience.
Yeah.
Well, we had such a fantastic evening with everybody. It looks like I was going to look and see if we had any. Yes. Just a couple, comments that we never want to be the martyr or sacrifice everything that we have to for success. That is not, really a version of success at all, really. So that's fantastic. So it's been such a great evening. I'm honored that you sat with us and took some time and told us about you and how you got started and what you have coming up in the future. So many exciting things that are on the horizon. So
Yeah. Well, who knows what tomorrow brings, right?
Yes. So what I just want to let everybody know, if they're looking for the skincare line, that is spa like -1.ca, right? Hyphen 1.ca. And also your website, it's Miss Cheryl. Is that correct?
Just like you started the program. Yeah.
So that is your website. I would really like to put that in the chat here. So, and I think
I'm actually just doing it.
Okay, perfect. So misscheryl.com, that has,
and you know why? I know it's funny, but it's because people can't really, not everybody can spell my last name. And so it just became easier. My web designer actually came up with the name. It's kind of weird for me, but people know misscheryl.com, whatever.
And then that's so funny. That's, I was like, we're going to talk to Miss Cheryl. You're like, what? That's funny. Well, we got it set up, and then we will definitely be setting this up once a month. So we will get advertisements out there for everybody. So you will see the next guest artists that we have coming, and we'll get to talk to them and hopefully give.
So we want to also for sure say that all our upcoming events are hosted on our Facebook page, right? So yes, they'll know who's coming and who the speakers are and what time to find you and how to find you and to tune in.
Yes. So and
that's
in addition to our free classes that we're having for the next month, it's once a week for the next month. We're offering these free Zoom classes in the nail industry. So that is also something to take note of. And we will make sure we put that all on our Facebook page as well. So Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, all of those things. So it's been a fantastic evening. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody who joined us this evening.
We actually had so many people texting me throughout this whole thing saying, I can't get on, I can't get on. Sorry. I don't know how to help you. I'm not the IT.
I don't know why they couldn't get on. The link was there. That's interesting. Huh. I guess we'll have to, we'll figure out our kinks and we'll get them fixed up.
Yeah, and this will be on our YouTube channel.
Yes. Yes.
So Mirage Spa is our YouTube channel. Our Facebook channel is also Mirage Spa Education. Instagram, it's all the same. So
yep, all the same. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. It has been absolutely wonderful. And thank you, Cheryl, for spending the time with us this evening.
No, thank you for having me.
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening.